Hello and welcome back to my lymphoma story. Thank you for continuing to pop in and catch the next videos, and please like and subscribe and drop us a like if you can, if you're enjoying them, and hopefully you'll get alerts to when any other future videos are released. So this is part 8, which is post CAR T, everything after my CAR T infusion, which I covered in part 7. I covered the infusion and the immediate days afterwards, but this is post that. Part 7 was the intensive care and a few bits and bobs that I went through in that. If you haven't seen that, just drop back and watch that one. Bit of a difficult time, but this is everything after that, right up to present day, to where I am now, and things at the moment not looking too bad. So this is part 8. So the first indication of how well CAR T had done for me was a PET scan, a 30-day PET scan, which I think is the same as most people undertake. So I undertook that on 13th of the 8th, 2024. Sadly, some people are very lucky and they get great news quite quickly, on their 30-day scan. I didn't, sadly. Basically, the scan still illustrated signs of activity, cancerous activity. But I didn't feel too down. They said, don't worry, as we move forward with future scans, things still can improve. It doesn't mean that CAR T hasn't worked for me. So then I undertook a 3-monthly PET scan on the 2nd of October 2024, which showed an improvement. It did show that a slight reduction in size of the tumour. It did show clearly that the other 2 smaller areas of cancer had been eradicated, but it did show the larger tumour to still show signs of activity. So not in the clear yet, so to speak. So on the next thing for me that I had to endure in November 2024, I did start to suffer serious stomach pains, excruciating pain, doubled up, terrible, doubled up, couldn't move, especially in bed. But these were happening all 24 hours a day. I was taking so many painkillers, it was awful. So ended up going to A&E with stomach cramps on the 27th of November. I had a CT scan of the bowel, which illustrated a blockage. They provided me put me on a liquid diet and gave me, I'm not sure what it was, but it was a liquid solution, which was supposedly able to break things down for me and clear out the bowel, and it obviously did, because pain improved. It was still there, but it did improve, to the point on the 2nd of the 12th, 2nd of December 2024, they did release me and send me home. However, I was still enduring pain, but nothing like the amount when I was admitted to hospital. So things looked like they were improving, so I was released to go home. Sadly, whilst in hospital, I caught COVID. Having a very weak immune system, they call it immunocompromised after CAR T, the inability to fight off infections and things like that wasn't a great thing for me to catch. I did tell them when I went in that I really should be in a side room on my own, but sadly there wasn't any available, and I was put onto a ward, and the ward is where I caught the COVID. Now, 3 months later, I still had that COVID. That was the last COVID test I actually took. I don't know how much longer after that I still had COVID, but it was there for at least 3 months, which illustrates the difficulty in clearing these infections if you do latch onto them, if you do catch any. Normal people would probably get rid of it in a week or 2 weeks. 3 months later, I still had it, so that wasn't a good thing. Luckily, it wasn't too bad. Sadly, though, the stomach pain started to return. Only a few days later, they started to increase again, to the point I was doubled up in pain again. And my partner, at 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock one morning, said, "No, that's it. We're going to the hospital." And she took me back to A&E, and they scanned me again, which clearly showed I had a blockage again in the bowel, which wasn't great. I went through the same liquid diet and things like that, but and different scans. So the scans again showed a blockage again. So this time round, they decided that they were going to do an operation to go in and have a look and see what was going on. And they found 2 adhesions on my bowel. So they were allegedly thin strips which wrap themselves around your bowel and basically tie it up, like putting a bootlace around a pipe and pulling it tight, I think. So they went in, found 2 of these, and they snipped them and they unravel themselves and hopefully free up the bowel and clear the blockage. So they did that. Whilst they were in there, they did a larger cut than they probably would have normally have done, to enable them to do a biopsy of the cancerous area as well. So they did that. So they did a biopsy and a bowel correction on the 14th of December 2024, that was. And on the 19th, I was deemed well enough to go home and I was released from hospital. And results from the biopsy that they did, I received not long after, which illustrated signs of no cancer, no cancerous signs at all, which is fantastic news. However, I did take it with a bit of a pinch of salt and didn't want to get too excited, because I had heard that after a previous keyhole biopsy, the previous December, which said no cancer, and I still had cancer. So I was told that we needed a PET scan to back up that result as well, before they would say that I was in any kind of full remission. So on the 30th of January, I went back for another PET scan. Sadly, the results still showed that it was active and there was activity still there, similar to before. However, and that it was still a reduced size, which was good. It hadn't got any worse, which was a good positive sign. But the activity wasn't, so they were still unable to say that I was in remission. Sadly, however, they did feel that the biopsy happened only a month or so, 6 weeks after the surgery where they did the biopsy. So they felt that may have been too soon, and that might have been what was causing the activity signs on the PET scan. So not to get too downbeat, and hopefully in the future I'll have another scan, which they said we'll wait now, because my weight is coming back up and generally I was in a good place health-wise. Things are starting to improve for me. We agreed that we would wait until June next month to have another PET scan, and hopefully that activity would have quietened down, and praying to God that they say that I'm in full remission. So let's wait and see if that happens. So obviously after CAR T, I've mentioned a weakened immune system, being immunocompromised. I had COVID, which I got through, but it took a long time. I also started to get headaches, severe headaches and pains in my nose. So I had 24-hour headaches, they were terrible. So I had another CT scan on the 20th of March 2024, which showed that I had inflammation to my left sinus here. Again, it's generally something that anyone with a good immune system probably would have got rid of in a week to 2 weeks. You're not going to believe it. 3 months later, still had this sinus infection, 24-hour headaches. I was taking that many painkillers that they had to change the different types of painkiller I had, so I could take more but not be at risk of doing any damage, because obviously taking too many painkillers is not good for you. So I had a CT scan for that, which showed I had the inflamed sinuses on one side. Sadly, they didn't do a brain scan at the time, which they wanted them to do because of the headaches. So I went back again, for another CT scan of the brain and the abdomen, with contrast and without contrast. Now, contrast is what would show up tumours and things like, illustrate tumours and stuff. So they scanned without the contrast first, then administered the contrast, and then I had that second one. So the abdomen illustrated that the cancer, still after all those many months, had improved to the point, well, not improved to the point, but it hadn't got any worse at all. It was the same as it had been back in January. So that's size-wise, so that was really good. Not any worse with my weight and everything back. Signs are good. Signs are good that I might have actually beaten this thing, but I still can't say it for sure until I get that PET scan next month in June. And the brain scan was clear. It did say that I had a brain, surprisingly enough. That was good news. And all that was clear. So finally, after 3 months or so, the headaches did subside, and I managed to get rid of that, thankfully, and put that behind me. So that's sort of where I am at now, waiting for June to arrive. Because I am immunocompromised now, they've decided that I need IVIG treatment every 4 weeks. IVIG is intravenous immunoglobulin. So it's an infusion every 4 weeks, basically, which is other people's plasma, which they provide when they give blood donations. And the plasma isn't needed for the blood, so it's extracted and given to people like me with weakened immune systems, and basically it helps me fight against catching things. Who I got the plasma from, one of the people would have had flu perhaps. If I had the same strain, it might mean that I might not catch that flu, or even if I did catch it, it would be less severe, thankfully, down to the plasma that they would have donated for me. So it's a protection thing to help me hopefully not catch anything sinister or too damaging, and help me fight off anything that I do catch. So I'm having those every 4 weeks now. They take a good 6 or 7 hours, because I can't have it at too fast a rate, because I start to get body shake. So we found my level, and it means I'm there every day. So they're ongoing for the rest of the year at least. Not sure how long I've got to take them for. It depends on whether my immune system does tend to get better or not. Well, that will continue to be monitored, and hopefully in the future I can stop having them, but whilst I need them, I'll continue to do so. So have them. So June is going to be big for me, massive. Am I going to find out finally after 2.5 years whether I've managed to put these 2 types of lymphoma cancers to bed? Follicular, which I've previously gotten rid of with my RCHOP chemo, and hopefully diffuse large B-cell CAR T might have saved my life, and I might have just got rid of it. So stay tuned to find out. I'll be finding out in June, and end of June I would think, and I will let you know. Thanks again for continued to watch. Give us a thumbs up if you can, if you enjoy the videos, and I'll see you soon with hopefully good news. Thank you. See you later.